Nintendo is having even more problems in the patent office, but now instead of the Japanese patent law, it is the US patent law. And it honestly, rightly so, because the patents they've been filing in the US are ridiculous. And the fact that they even got accepted says something, but at least they're taking a step to look at it again. That is what we're going to be mainly talking about today. That and something about the next GTA and Rockstar is coming up as well. My name is the Tech Jelly. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really appreciate it if you do. Now let's get right into the video. The Patent Office of the US has been officially ordered to re-examine the summoning sub character and let it fight in one of two modes. Patent, which is the official patent, not name, but like the main what it's patenting. And the director of USPTO, John A. Squires, has personally ordered on his own initiative that they take another look at the US patent, which is a very rare thing for the director to do, and it hasn't been done in a very long time, but it looks like it has happened, and being reported by GamesFry that it is happening and it's not rumors or anything like that. He has directly ordered it, and that means they're going to be looking at it again. So what this means directly, once again reported by GamesFry, GamesFray. I don't know why I keep calling GamesFry. Is that they are going to look at it again because of prior art underlining the patent. Now, to be fair, this re-examination order is not a complete takedown of the patent. The patent has still technically been accepted, but they're looking at it again. So in other words, the patent still exists and is still a thing right now, but it is most likely going to be looked at and then been taken down in reference of these prior arts. Because the other things that the patent covers, there's so many examples of things that happened prior to when Nintendo was doing this patent that it's really easy to prove that no, they did not own this concept. Now, this is going to further undermine the credibility of the patent against Palworld or Pocketpair, depending. And hopefully, this is going to be more ammunition for Pocketpair to just point at and say, hey, Nintendo's patents aren't legitimate. They aren't enforceable and they shouldn't be recognized, or this case should not be against us. Because the backbone of Nintendo's case against Palworld are these patents, not specifically the ones in the US, it is the ones in Japan, but things happening elsewhere that are basically the same thing can matter, and this gives more ammunition to Pocketpair, which is a good thing. The interesting thing is that the most likely the only reason that this was even done is because of how big a public outcry there was because of the patent being accepted, because like there's such an outcry online on basically every social media platform saying this is dumb, this is bad. A lot of news organizations also covered it as well, not just random Twitter people. So that's probably the only reason why the director knows about it and is doing this order, because they want to try to save a little bit of face, because there's not a lot of people that like any authority figure in the US right now, and them making good decisions that would make people happy makes a lot of sense. So it does make a lot of sense of being a good move on their part, and I really hope that this is just a more big snowball effect on the fact that Nintendo's patents are slowly being ridiculed and criticized of how they're doing things, because I think iterative design on Nintendo's games is really good. Because like the Metroidvania genre basically exists because of Castlevania, and Castlevania started on the NES, and to be fair, when it became a Metroidvania, it was a PlayStation game, but both Metroid and Castlevania were originally NES games, and Super Metroid, I think that's what the Metroid on Super Nintendo was called, is the baseline of that Castlevania genre, basically, or that 2D platformer genre, and we've got so many things like it, like Hollow Knight is like the most recent indie example, Silksong and the original one. And so, like, the iterative design of Pokemon would be amazing. And I think the fact that we've basically, no big games have really tried to fight Pokemon, which does make sense. Pokemon is a huge thing to fight. And there is like the newer Digimon games, so that's good too. And there are a couple indie projects that I've seen as well. Some of the bigger ones being that we'll probably make a video on them later. But it's interesting to see that the consequences of all of Nintendo's actions are finally going against them, even though Pokemon is doing the best it's ever been. Like, the biggest problem I have with all these lawsuits that Nintendo's been doing, or at least this one specific one and all these patents, is that Nintendo doesn't need to do this to be successful. Pokemon's been, in terms of video games, it's been the most popular it's ever been, and the widespread of Pokemon has been more popular than ever. It is literally the number one product in the world. It beats like Disney in terms of profits, and the video games have always been a very small part of that, but they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger now. So it feels like the video games are kind of catching up to the rest of the Pokemon franchise, and then they start doing this weird crazy stuff with the patents, and they're finally doing some interesting things with Pokemon. Like Legends Arceus was interesting, Legends ZA is interesting, but I wish they'd go further. And and Scarlet and Violet are, even, you can have your problems with the graphics and the awfulness of the actual game itself in terms of bugs and stuff like that, but the concept is cool. Open world Pokemon is basically been what everyone's wanting. Everyone, and it shows, because Scarlet and Violet were some of the best-selling Pokemon games there. They're in the top 5. So it's obvious that the Pokemon fan base wants those styles of Pokemon games. So I really hope that they just understand that. Hopefully put more money into it, because we've also seen the leaks of the Pokemon franchise being, the budget of the Pokemon games being like $13 million, which is literally nothing in the Pokemon world and in big AAA game development. So it's kind of crazy. And I really hope that Nintendo starting to falter on this legal side will just make them start making better games, so they don't have to worry about something like this. Because even though this is happening, Palworld isn't really competition for Nintendo. Like, sure, Palworld did do well, but it's not Pokemon. Like, Palworld isn't going to break Pokemon. It's not going to be a successor to Pokemon. Like, I love Palworld, don't get me wrong, but the game is not going to be beating Pokemon anytime soon. So it's crazy to me that they're even doing this. It's such a weird gesture, and I really hope this gives more ammunition for Palworld and Pocketpair to just dunk on Nintendo's lawyers. And this is it's another good step, because there was another worry of the court case in Japan just going to a US court instead with these patents. But if these patents are going to be revoked, potentially with this re-examination of them, they can't even do that. Now, they could probably also do appeals and just like all that type of stuff, just like in the Japanese side of things, but you won't be able to do a case if your patents aren't done in the US. So that's good. Let me know what you guys think about in the comments about this whole situation with the Palworld and Pokemon stuff and the US patents finally getting looked at again. Hopefully it goes well for Pocketpair and Palworld. I've been pretty obvious that I'm on their side. I'm not on Nintendo's side for this. So I'm cheering for Palworld, personally. So let me know who you're cheering for. Lastly, we're going to be talking about Grand Theft Auto games and the Rockstar co-founder Dan Houser talking about why they're set in the US and why they probably wouldn't be set anywhere else. In an interview with Lex Friedman, the co-founder Dan Houser talked about a bunch of stuff, a lot of things. And one of the things that he kept mentioning was that other countries have great cities, but not American cities. Being a great city and being an American city are very different things in his mind for the locations of Grand Theft Auto. Because in Grand Theft Auto, you need these great big cities, which other countries have. But the problem is the uniqueness of the US because of the Americanness of the cities, which is really funny. But another big thing is, of course, gun culture. Gun culture is so different and so uniquely a US thing that, like, going into a gun store is really a US thing. Now, I'm not saying they don't have gun stores in different countries, because, I mean, even here in Canada, we have gun stores. But, like, it is very different. Like, there's gun stores, but it's like shotguns, hunting rifles up here. But in the US, you can just go over there and buy an automatic weapon sometimes. You know, you could just go buy a machine gun, a assault rifle, a pistol, different types of shotguns, different types of ammunitions, all that type of stuff. And that is a uniquely US trait. And it's really funny to hear from the GTA co-founder, or Rockstar co-founder, that GTA doesn't really work in other countries because the guns aren't really there. Like the craziness of the gunfights and the stories wouldn't fit other countries. And I do kind of agree. With the big caveat of I do think a GTA game in another country could work, but not a mainline GTA game. Like it couldn't be a numbered game. Like if you made GTA Europe or something like that, you know, obviously name have a better name than that, but like I think it could work because I mean there isn't not guns in Europe and other countries. I think the biggest thing is that it's a US IP and Rockstar are is a US company, and so like they know US culture more than European culture, even Canadian culture they don't really know. I mean, GTA 5 technically has a Canadian character, but he isn't really. So it's interesting to see that. I still would think a GTA game outside of the US wouldn't work, but their reasoning does make sense because like these gangster stories are really a US thing. They kind of exist outside of American culture, of course, but it is primarily a United States thing about like, you know, the whole gun culture, the gangster culture, all that type of stuff. I just do wish they would maybe think about looking into a spin-off game for a in a different place, a different setting, but it does make sense overall why they don't. It just kind of makes me sad that it looks like they're not really looking into it, but it would be cool. But once again, they make good points. Let me know what you guys think about in the comments down below. If you think a GTA game in a different country would work or not. I personally think it still would work. It would just have to be a different, slightly different style, you know? Like you couldn't have like tons and tons and tons of machine guns, or you could, it just be even more illegal, which I mean kind of makes sense. Like you'd have to be smuggling guns and stuff like that. So I don't know. I still think it would work. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments down below. But that is going to be the video for today. Thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it that you do. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. I completely understand. If you like to support the channel, please go over to patreon.com/@thetechnojelly. I really appreciate it if you support me. You're gonna join all of these nice people going across the screen right now. You also get access to a once in a month live stream, as well as some other perks as well. If you'd like to follow me on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads @thetechnojelly. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye, everyone.